I've never wanted anything more than for you to be my wife.
This is all I want on my wedding day.
Saul? Hey, if we get bad news, we should get a dog.
Don't say
That was a clip from All My Life. For more, let's bring in film critic and host of Pop Life, Richard Crouse. Come on, Richard, why you gotta bring me down? First thing in the morning on a Friday. It's a tearjerker. I need a Kleenex or something. Hang on, what's going on?
Yeah, bring some Kleenex to the movie with this one. But here's the thing about this movie. It's called All My Life. You'll have to go to a theater to see it. So if there's a theater open near you, it will be playing there. It's based on a true story about a young 20-something couple who meet, they fall in love. He's a chef. She encourages him all the way along. They plan on getting married, and then he gets diagnosed with terminal cancer. And the story sounds like a downer, like something that Nicholas Sparks would have written, maybe one of those romantic dramas where it ends in tragedy, except that this movie isn't really about that. It's sugary sweet as the whole romance is starting to blossom. And then as we get into the more serious stuff, the movie actually takes a bit of a turn, and they actually discuss the repercussions of what will happen if they continue with their plans to get married, which they do. That doesn't give anything away. That's part of the story. But it takes a serious turn, but it's about optimism. It's about making the best of every day that you have with one another. So while it is sad, unquestionably, it ends on kind of an optimistic, hopeful note. So it's kind of sweet, as I said, a little bit sugary. If you watch it too long, if you stare at the screen for too long, you may get a cavity, but it is about uplift and hope. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars.
Okay. Who are the cuties starring in it, actually? They look so young and lovely and optimistic.
Harry Shum Jr., you saw him in Crazy Rich Asians. And then Jessica Rothe, who is a really talented young actor, and you've seen her most notably in these Happy Death Day movies, these really cool little horror films, and she made a couple of those.
Okay, wow. It looks like a tearjerker. I'm going to avoid it. Meantime, there's a bio of Shane MacGowan. Explain to people who don't know who Shane MacGowan is and why you're talking about this film.
Well, as you get closer to the Christmas season, any radio station that you turn on that's playing Christmas music will be playing Fairy Tale of New York, probably the most famous song that Sean MacGowan ever wrote for his band, The Pogues. Although they had many other hits, they were an Irish revivalist band that kind of added a punk rock sensibility to traditional Irish music. They were very popular in the 80s, and Shane MacGowan was the lead singer, the songwriter, the poet laureate of the Pogues. And this movie, Crock of Gold, A Few Rounds with Shane MacGowan, which is now on iTunes and very select theaters across the country, is the story of his life, from growing up in poverty in Ireland to moving to London, getting involved in the punk rock scene, and then eventually really finding his footing with the Pogues. Here's the thing about this story, though. It's kind of a cautionary tale about excessive drinking and drug taking. Although Shane MacGowan, who is in rough physical shape these days, says that he does not have a death wish, the movie would suggest otherwise, considering the way he's treated himself over the years. But it emerges as a really fascinating portrait of a complicated artist whose best work came from his worst behavior. So I'll give this one 3.5 out of 5 stars.
Okay, interesting. We have a minute left to talk about the psychological drama Black Bear.
Boy, I could talk about this one for about an hour. This is Aubrey Plaza. We know her from Parks and Recreation. She plays a filmmaker that goes to a writer's retreat run by a couple in a cabin in the middle of the woods. The first half of the movie kind of plays like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, with barbs flying back and forth between the couple that runs this resort and this young writer. And then midway through the movie, it switches, and it's suggested that what we've been watching is maybe just part of a big movie that's being filmed. And we are transported to a film set. The characters are the same, although occasionally they have different names. And it's a story about the creative process, about trying to maintain a relationship while making a movie or creating art. It's fascinating. It's surreal. It's a little bit frustrating. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars because I was just kind of fascinated that a movie that is this audacious is getting made these days. So I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I like this one a lot.
That sounds right up my alley. Thank you, Richard, for that one. I appreciate it. Have yourself a great weekend.
Thanks, Jen.
Okay.
You too.
You can catch Pop Life Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on CTV News Channel. We'll be back after a short break.